This is some breaking news from CNN, the Clinton News Network. The head of the U.S. Counterterrorism Center announces resignation. So I heard about this today. I read the statement that he put out, and while it does sound based, I also think, like, because it's like, he's like, fuck this war or whatever. I also think we should keep in mind that this guy was in the Trump administration, and I think that he was kind of, my understanding is he was kind of like a maybe like more Groyper oriented, like anti-Israel sort of dude. So while his words may have been based, they were probably not for the right reasons. But anyway, let's go ahead and just get into this. The Clinton News Network, top Trump intel official Joe Kent resigns over Iran war. Let's see what they got to say.
We just learned, get this, the director of the
Is
National
that Wolf Blitzer? I can't remember. I think that's him, but I can't remember. He looks a lot older than I
Terrorism
remember.
Center, Joe Kent, has just announced he's resigning. CNN national security reporter Zachary Cohn is joining us right now. Zachary, what more can you tell us about this dramatic development?
Yeah, Wolf, this appears to be a significant resignation at the senior-most levels of the Trump intelligence community. This is Joe Kent. He was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. He appearing to post on X a resignation letter that he submitted citing misgivings over the Trump administration's decision to launch its war with Iran. Now, Kent in this letter writes in part, quote, as a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. Now, Kent, in his apparent post on X,
pretty based. I mean, that's a good opinion to have.
Does also seem to suggest that there was no imminent threat.
Of course not.
It has been used and cited by the Trump administration as justification.
We've said there's an imminent threat from Iran for like 30 or 40 years now. If it hasn't happened by now, I don't think it was going to happen in the next like month or two,
For launching this war against Iran. He says that essentially the administration manufactured this idea of an imminent threat, and that is part of the reason why he's deciding to resign from his...
They are pussies. They can't even... I wish that they could just say stuff the way that I say stuff. And that's why I guess people tune in to me. It's because I will tell you straight up that, yeah, that it's bullshit that it was an imminent threat. Now, CNN has to, couch all their language and be very careful and so they don't get sued by Daddy Donald or whatever, but... that's one of the reasons nobody trusts these bozos anymore. You got to be more honest, dude. You got to just say, yeah, it was obviously there was no imminent threat.
Post today.
Let me read a little bit from this letter that he wrote to President Trump. This is Joseph Kent. He works for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. But he writes this. He says, I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and
I mean, again, I always have to say, you're an idiot. You're an idiot if you thought he was going to be anti-war. Like, I do believe that any administration at this point in time probably would have gotten duped into this or whatever, duped into this, quote unquote, by Netanyahu, because this has been a goal of our foreign policy, like, consensus State Department for the last 30 or 40 years. And, like, the timing was just right. Israel is never going to be any more popular than it is today. They are losing popularity by the minute. Like, so it was existential for them. They thought this was our last chance. And I assure you that everybody in the State Department also thought that this was our last chance. And yes, these people are all idiots and they're all floundering and they're all dumb. But they're like, I don't know. It was always going to happen regardless, but also, like, obviously Trump did a lot of warmongering shit in his first term. So a lot of this stuff is kind of just like standard face-saving bullshit, pretending like, living in a fantasy world where Trump was some peaceful dove his first administration. I assure you he was not. In fact, he set a lot of the groundwork for this current like intervention that we're doing back then. He moved the uh the U.S. embassy, right, to Jerusalem, if I remember, or like something along those lines. And like a slap in the face to the Palestinians, and like all that sort of stuff, all just set the groundwork for all this to happen. So, um, he threw away the JCPOA, or the nuclear agreement or whatever as well. Like he basically perfectly set up the stage like for his next administration to go to war with Iran. So, but yeah.
Depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. And he added this: in your first administration, you understood better than any modern president
No, he did.
how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by
That was one of the events that led directly to this intervention right now. It works until it doesn't, man. I mean, it's really not that hard of a concept to understand. It works until it doesn't. You assassinate these high-level officials and you assassinate these leaders at every step of the way. And yeah, it's going to work because America has a huge amount of leverage in terms of our military capabilities of like going against us is like going to be bad for you or whatever, like materially, but it's going to work until it doesn't. And this is the time that it doesn't. And it's like if you keep gambling over and over and over and over again, eventually one time it's not like eventually you're going to roll snake eyes or whatever. So it's a very stupid strategy because it has inevitable failure.
defeating ISIS. He goes on and says more, Sabrina, but those are powerful words.
I think what's also important here is this is an appointee that was not someone that you could consider not aligned with the president. I mean, this is someone that espoused the MAGA base views and was appointed by, of course, Tulsi Gabbard. And so the fact that he has issued a very public resignation, and the fact that he's also said that Iran did not pose an imminent threat to the United States, a case that was made by Donald Trump multiple times and many other officials in this administration, including the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, saying that Iran posed an immediate threat to the United States. And he's someone that clearly had access to intelligence matters, saying that they did not. I think you could potentially see other resignations from this administration, people deep within the MAGA base that do not support this war of choice. And frankly, it is a war of choice. It is something that the president chose to do. And he has said, kind of on his own conscience that.
Good for you for saying that. But I'm not so sure. Most diehard MAGAs, like even though they claim to have like not want these wars to happen, are completely and totally vapid and unprincipled. They're not going to they will change their opinions overnight if it means achieving, the kind of fascist goals that they're trying to. Um, so I don't necessarily think we're going to see a wave of resignations. I think we'll only see that sort of stuff when Trump actually loses his ability to control the party, which is still like that still hasn't happened.
He decided to initiate this war as well.
Yeah, he even said that he got Israel on board.
Yes.
But in this letter, Joe Kent says he believes that this is started because of pressure from Israel and its American law.
Also, there's reporting, there's polling now. The majority of Americans think that as well. So they really should stop framing that as some sort of like crazy opinion. Like that is the main primary opinion in America.
Bobby, I'm wondering, General, what you think about one of the last lines here. He says, you can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. I'm wondering at this point, several weeks into this war, you have Iran saying that the Strait of Hormuz will never go back to the conditions where it was before. How do you chart a new course?
He needs to cut his losses, that being President Trump. He needs to cut his losses and shut this down as quick as he possibly can.
How? I keep asking how. Like Iran has said they're not going to let America control the de-escalation. Like Iran is going to choose when the war ends. That's what they keep saying. So what does he do then? Again, this is why you can't just go into wars and assume that you are going to have complete and total control, because wars always develop a life of their own. It always takes at least two to tango, right? And if one person says, "Nah, brah, we're not over yet. We're keeping this going," then like what are you supposed to do? You can't declare victory, or else then it's like if they say, "No, we're going to keep pounding, we're still going to close the Strait of Hormuz and we're going to keep pounding Israel until we feel like it," then you look like a failure. You look like weak, even more weak than we already look right now. So yeah, I don't like. Sorry, there's nothing we can really do at this point. We decided to get into it, so we're probably just going to keep escalating, if I had to guess.
That would be the best thing at dissolution. I'm not sure if he's got the capability, the wherewithal to actually do that politically. But I mean, this is not going well, and it's going to get worse. And bully for Mr. Joe Kent for having the political courage to stand up for what he believes. This is a guy that's a big-time MAGA supporter, has always been.
God.
Very much like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you had on your show yesterday. I mean, these are significant resignations from the MAGA world.
Don't compare this freak to our woke queen, Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, I don't know. There's nothing these people love more than finding one of their reasonable Republicans. Like, anytime they find someone who says something even remotely reasonable, they latch on to them. I don't know, like what's something that latches? I don't know. You know what I mean. I was a little slow there. I didn't come up with anything, but they always love to latch on to any of these people who say just something remotely reasonable. It's the same way that like people love to latch on to like any news story about a cop that like does something good or like plays basketball with a black person or something, and like they love to just pump that shit through their veins because it's like, see, not all of them, like, it's I don't know, they love doing that shit. It annoys me.
People need to take note, and I hope that this leads to the resignation of other members of the administration, because he is absolutely spot on target. This is not in the best interest of the United States to continue this war, and President Trump needs to shut it down as quickly as he possibly can.
Let me read another sentence or two from his resignation letter. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost.
Okay, to all the people who do think it was purely Israel that got us into this or whatever, I don't think so. I do think that Israel like played their part and played their role, and they play it really well, of being a belligerent actor that, gives the opportunities for America to do the crazy shit that it wants to do. But even Iraq back in 2003 or whatever, all of that was foreign policy like papers that had existed for 10 years at that point of like what they wanted to do in the region and in the Middle East. So these aren't things that just like some president got tricked into doing. They're like by Netanyahu or whatever. Like there's a kind of like back and forth between Israel and America, because I always say Israel is just an extension of America. It's essentially an American colony or an American territory in the Middle East. So so we're not like, we're allowing ourselves, quote unquote, to be tricked, I guess, if you want to think of it that way.
Cost of American lives.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've already seen 13 American service members die in this war. Over 200 have been injured, and their conditions have ranged from very serious to some have been returned to duty. But I think, we've heard Pete Hegseth say this time and again that more American.
It also could be higher. Iran, I mean, it's probably somewhere in the middle, like it always is. But Iran says that 200 military members have died and 300 injured or whatever. But like it's probably somewhere in the middle.
could lose their lives, and I think this letter makes it very clear: is that worth it? Is that worth the cost? And this is someone that's obviously gone to war on behalf of our country and seen the cost that it takes, not just on the people who are putting their lives on the line, but on the country. And so I think it is really important that not only is he putting this out today, but this is someone that is a deep figure within the MAGA base and someone that is aligned with the president and is breaking very publicly with him.
And it's personal for him, as you noted, Wolf, that his wife was killed in Syria in 2019 by an ISIS bomber. I just want to go back to you, General. Clearly, you don't agree with this war. But at the same time, Israel is saying that it has taken out more top Iranian officials, including one who has been
Wow.
overseeing a lot of
Wow.
what Iran has been doing.
That's always worked historically for Israel, taking out all of the leadership. Yeah, I'm sure it'll work this time too.
And its counterattacks. And I just wonder if you see any progress, any benefit so far from this war in terms of
Yeah. She's
safety
like,
toward the
let's not
United
keep it
States
so
because
negative,
of some of the
everybody.
people who have been taken out.
First of all, I commend the military performance thus far in the war. I mean, it's been superb. And look, no one's shedding any tears for the Khomeini's demise and a new Ayatollah. And
I mean, I don't even understand why not. Like, why do they hate him so much? You know, like he's done everything in his power to try to open up doors with the West, and we have just rejected him a million times, and then, you know, and then finally killed him. Like it's like if we just punch someone over and over, and we're like, yeah, and everybody should obviously hate this guy as you just keep punching them over and over. It's like I don't really quite understand why we should hate him, to be honest.
and the aggressive nature that they have had towards in the region and been a threat in the region. I mean, I'm all for
Existence is
for
not
doing
aggression.
something about the Iranians, but we were not provoked. And the problem here is
Israel does this shit all the time. They think that like a Muslim person existing is aggression or like anti-Semitic or whatever, and it scares them. It scares them to see a Muslim person. And so to Israel, Iran's existence is an aggression towards them. And that's why these freaks think the same thing. They think like, oh, Iran, like because they exist and have some form of sovereignty, they are an aggressor in some sense, even though they never like they never would have attacked if we didn't attack. So like even they even let their proxies get like get beat pretty bad without like joining in or attacking at all, like after October 7th with like the Gaza genocide that came after that and like what they did to Hezbollah. So like Iran has just always been the restrained actor in this region. It's always been Israel that's been the aggressor.
is that we're in the middle of a long war, at least a long war for them. I mean, I remember what Henry Kissinger said about Vietnam. He said that the Americans will lose by not winning, and the Vietnamese will win by not losing.
Exactly.
The Iranians just want to sustain themselves, stay in power as long as they possibly can, continue to harass the United States, like attacking Baghdad and the embassy there and whatnot, and stay alive long enough so that they can claim victory. And that's what they will do if they do this long enough.
Let's go actually to the White House, where we're going to find our Kevin Liptak, who's been tracking any responses coming from the administration. What's the latest, Kevin?
Yeah, nothing official yet from the president, although we're expecting to see him any moment now in the Oval Office with the
my big,
Taoiseach
beautiful
of
boy.
Ireland. He's here for St. Patrick's Day. But you do hear,
Oh, yeah.
officials who are within
Oh yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. All my Irish brothers and sisters out there. Keep the revolutionary spirit alive. Take over that Northern Ireland territory. Whoever owns that, I don't know. It should be your guess. Let's get another revolution going. Let's get another war going. Let's get some more conflict,
the Trump orbit beginning to sound off on this. One former White House official described Joe Kent as an egomaniac, someone who is resigning this position in quite a high-profile fashion. And I think that is probably along the lines of what we will hear from the president if and when he decides to respond to this. But I do think it will be difficult for him to entirely dismiss this resignation as someone, with Trump derangement syndrome, as someone who is a Trump enemy, as he does so often, just because Joe Kent has so often aligned himself with the president.
But he did this all to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was like the OG MAGA mom, Like, I don't think he cares. As soon as you cross him, you are out. You are no longer in the cult and you are excommunicated. And if he decides to tar and feather you, every single other MAGA cult member is going to go along with it. So I'm not so sure. He'll probably say some shit about this guy.
MAGA wing of the party. That's how he ran as a candidate for Congress 2 times in Washington state, and it is why he was selected for this position in the first place. His confirmation was not an easy one by any means. He was, very narrowly confirmed by the Senate, and all of these questions about conspiracies around the 2020 election, about potential ties to white nationalists, all arose in his confirmation hearings. And for all of those reasons, I think it will be difficult for the president to sort of entirely distance himself from this individual who is now coming out very publicly decrying some of the perceived rationale for the war in Iran. And I do think it will also put in a very difficult position Joe Kent's boss, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who has espoused, in previous lives, the very same positions about questioning the adventurism of previous iterations of the Republican Party,
fake,
questioning nation-building pursuits. She, too, was a veteran, just like Joe Kent. And so
she's one of those people who said, actually, it's actually the right wing that is more anti-foreign war or whatever, which is just the knots you have to twist yourself into to fucking believe that is insane to me. But yeah, fuck her, dude.
Putting her, I think, in a difficult position. But certainly we expect to hear from the president very soon, and hopefully he will be asked about all of this.
We'll see what he says. All right, Kevin Liptak, thank you very, very much. I want to bring in CNN K-File senior editor Andrew Kaczynski, who's joining us on the phone. Andrew, I know you had previously reported that...
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, we learned about it. We learned about the dude. He, like I said, I don't think this is going to change much, to be honest. I don't think there's going to suddenly be some wave of resignations. I think he will just get excommunicated from MAGA in the same way Marjorie Taylor Greene was. And then, they'll just move on. At the end of the day, it's just whatever Trump says is the policy positions of the base or whatever. So, and he hasn't lost enough support in that regard to change anything.